Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Jeebs. I'm an old composer, and that's why we call this the Decomposer Lounge. But this is world music. This is not the metal channel that I have that's been very successful. That's all heavy rock and roll and all kinds from Tool to Meshuggah to all kinds of stuff. This particular journey is more of the popular music, and I'm going around the world the same as I do with the metal and listen to different kinds of music. And not only is it just pop music, but I'm starting to venture into some cultural music too. So, and I also want to thank everybody who's been so kind about all the comments of the artists that I've been reviewing. So, continue to do that, continue to suggest. Today I have Abel Pintos, and I think the song is Camilla de mi contigo. So, let's do this. I want to thank you guys so much for just hanging out, So, Abel Pintos, all right.
Excusa que te hiciera comprender. Repasaba los detalles, lo que dije no estuvo bien. Y de pronto comprendí que nada es casualidad. Tú te apareciste en el momento exacto y el lugar. Solo quiero dejarte una parte de mí que venía escapando de quedarme quieto en algún lugar. Todas las personas que conozco se equivocan y lo han hecho igual. Y me encuentro ahora explicando lo que hice por amor. Esperando que me entiendas, me perdones, por favor. No estoy aquí para ser tu enemigo. Solo quiero dejarte una parte de mí. Contigo. De mí. Contigo.
Beautiful build in this song is absolutely wonderful. One of the things that I notice is that with the, how I do my reactions here is, yes, I do obviously listen to the vocalist, and most likely the artist is the premier focus of what we're listening to. But I like to break down the layers of the composition and the dynamics that are behind supporting him. And so I'll get to his voice in just a moment. But what I love is that behind the piano chords is a very subtle pad that kind of gives you some ambiance. It's kind of like, it sounds like muted strings, but more synth dialed down. And so I love how that's following the chord changes. The chord changes are beautiful through this. The whole structure of the song as it builds into the hook, because the hook is beautiful. Did you see me do this? Here in Hawaii, we call it chicken skin. Some people call it goosebumps. In different parts of the world, I'm finding out they got different name for it. But that's that feeling you get when you have this like kind of a glorious release of celebration of sorts. You get chicken skin because you're like, ooh, or sometimes you get it because you get scared. But in this case, I love the sailing melody that he had throughout his hook. Also love the harmony that's happening behind him in the hook. Da, da, da. Sorry. I don't sing. So he's holding that note, but then about a quarter note later, you hear a slight descending in the harmonies, which is a beautiful arrangement, composition with that. So let's continue on.
Convencido de que existo y vivo solo por tener tu amor. Cambio todo lo que tengo por un poco de tu claridad. No me gustan tan simples las cosas y esa es la verdad. Pero nunca quise provocarte así tanto dolor. No estoy aquí para ser tu enemigo. Solo quiero dejarte una parte de mí.
Okay, before we go on, there's a couple things that I want to bring on. Beautiful bass arrangement. The bass always has its liberties and its arrangements to move around and stuff, but I think it's an unsung hero in a lot of compositions. Number one, because visually, and just the whole thing about the bass, and the bass player is usually kind of, he's probably one of the most important parts of the band in my world, because it holds that bottom end. It holds here. you know, while we have the acoustic guitar, you know, playing along with the arrangement. And in the second half of the arrangement, it got a little more bouncier. And what I loved is how the drummer was playing these really nice ghost notes behind it. If you don't know what a ghost note is, it's when you hit the snare, you know, let's say you're going 2 and 4, but ghost notes could be, you know what I mean? The little notes that are just behind it that are very important part of the rhythmical arrangement, but it gives a wonderful dynamic to the snare. But the bass line is walking around beautifully. It shows the respect of the chord changes, but when it has its opportunity, it's doing some beautiful, beautiful composition there. You listen to it towards, it's kind of a cadence. You listen to it towards the end of the phrase and you'll hear, doom, 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 you know, brings it back down into the 1. This is a beautiful song. I love, 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 love this. Okay, let me go back a little bit. You know what? You know what I loved about this. Well, let's now talk about the singer. What a beautiful, beautiful voice. I'm not a vocal coach, so I can't say too much about the technique and stuff. But the range where he naturally seems to sing it is, you know, like first tenor. But he has in this song beautiful intervals in that melody. But that one note that hangs out, you know, sometimes it is just one note that just pulls it all in for you. And then there's a little bit of a change in the chords in the second half of the hook, where it even blooms even further. It kind of takes you into a growing passage a little bit, and then back into the big note that hangs out. Something else I wanted to bring up too are the turnarounds before the chorus. So you have a verse, there's a turnaround, or a pre-chorus, and the chorus. I'm sorry, not turnaround, pre-chorus. That is also a wonderful arrangement. It really takes you through this journey so that when you get to the hook, you really celebrate it, you know? And then finally, what I do want to say is I am so elated about the mix and the guitar playing. As subtle as it may seem, I mean, all things considered, since my other channel is heavy metal and new metal and math metal and metalcore and stuff, I have a propensity to want to listen to the guitar forward. But as a composer, in the different styles that I've written, there's a place for everything, and I love the arrangements of the guitar and where they are sitting in the mix. Like at the very end, you heard the harmonics of the note of the guitar ringing through, and at first I thought, is that a blown out flute? You know, like maybe it was pushed up really high, but it was beautiful. But if you listen to the guitar and the hook are, you know, these powerful chords, but they're really big and fat, or they're really big and part of the fat arrangements in the chorus. So there is melodic stuff that the guitar player is doing, but it's very subtle, but I can hear it. And I love, there's also, I think it was in the bridge where there's a secondary melody the guitar player was holding. It seemed like he was playing within the notes that were in the chord changes, like he wasn't straying a little too out of it, getting more from an arrangement into a solo. But I thought it was great. This was a wonderful experience. I believe Abel Pintos is from Argentina, so I'm going around the world slowly but surely, slowly but surely. I want to thank you guys for hanging out here at the Decomposer Lounge World Music, leaving your comments, and enjoying this journey with me. So you guys take care. Have a wonderful weekend. All right.